Good afternoon. What is a warm, bright, and sunny day? It is Thursday, the 10th of August. I've got a nice hot cup of tea. And a parcel to continue unboxing. Which, up that way, which contains issues of the magazine Senet. Now, the last one I pulled out would have been 7, but I noted that I hadn't actually unboxed 5, so I am remiss. Now, Senet is the magazine that promises that board games are beautiful and embraces essentially all their aesthetics and design philosophies and explores and presents them in a fashion that is very readable and indeed attractive. So, what we got inside, and basically there's the editorial and contents page, including the advert for Villainous, which is a very popular board game. It's basically because it's a Disney one. We have the section Behold. This is the section which previews forthcoming games. Now, this issue was published in the summer of 2021, so I'm a bit behind. So you are looking here, sort of like, it's summer of 2021, 2 years ago, what was coming out then. And it's interesting to note that to go back and read this and see, okay, did this actually come out? Did it live up to expectations? So we've got to look at the Caper, Europe, Stroganoff, and more. Studies in Sorcery, the League of Lexicon, board game for, card game for lovers of word games. And then So You've Been Eaten, Mirroring of Mary King. So just a range of interesting board games coming out then. Points is the letters page. Of course, you've got an advert for Ticket to Ride Europe. That's the 15th anniversary edition, which is very nice indeed. As you can see, it's very well appointed. I've done a review of that, as I do like Ticket to Ride as a board game. This is followed by People Power for the Love of the Game, which the designers taking through basically the designer's game. I'm trying to remember what the title is. I never do, because he never does quite say. Let's have a look. But it's talking about the gaming community and sort of its importance in creating and promoting a game. And then we have Return of the Living Dead. Now, each issue of Senet looks at a particular theme or concept in games, and this time it's the zombie game. It's zombies in board games. And it has to be said, over the past 15 or so years, you can hardly move for the incredible range of zombie-themed board games. Some of them good, some of them bad, some of them just indifferent, as you would expect. Already derived from the film Night of the Living Dead, which has popularised the concept of the zombie and the living dead in culture. And we got a discussion of the zombie theme throughout, with a mention of sort of like different titles. So here we've got a quick discussion overview of the zombie side range of titles. List of then upcoming zombie board games. Before we move on to highlighting the art of Catherine Hamilton, which is utterly glorious. The thing is, this is a really nicely put together magazine, and it gives space like this for artists like Hamilton to showcase the best of our artwork and talk about how her creation process works. So, and in process, sort of like telling a bit of a story, about the artist. And the thing is, obviously, in most board games, role-play games, we don't get to hear the artist speak. We get the voice of the author rather than the artist, and this gives them a chance to talk about the works that they've illustrated. So yeah, this is, I mean, utterly fantastic artwork, and it just shows you how sort of like how the board game has grown and grown in terms of its production values if it has artwork like that. I think it's on the other thing that Senet does is it looks at particular mechanics. So it's done themes, it's done an artist, it does a mechanic, and this time, in full circle, it is the roundel, which is an interesting mechanic which doesn't appear in all that many games. Essentially what you've got is a sort of like a track of actions, and as you play, you have each player has a token which they're going to move around the roundel, and they've got to go through sort of like the stages marked on the roundel of various actions they can take. They can't just repeat the one action over and over. So yeah, it's got various types of roundels. So it's actually got a picture of the first one, which I would have come across. Not too easy, which is an Ancients board game, which isn't mentioned. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Basically, Antiqui. Antiqui is not even really that roundel isn't repetitive, which I think is just one. Antiqui is essentially essentially task creatures with building an ancient civilization while fighting for dominance on a world map. And basically, it's essentially the civilizations of the ancient world of ancient Mediterranean. That's where it first appeared. And then we have an interview with Isaac Childress, who is the designer of probably one of the biggest board games published of the past few years. That is Gloomhaven. It's a combined sort of like board game and a role-playing game. And here we're interviewing him and sort of like discussing the games that he's designed and his design process. So, you know, basically his then next game would have been Frosthaven. And Gloomhaven is going to provide you with months and months, perhaps a year of gameplay. Unboxed is Senet's review section. And again, it's an opportunity to go back and look at see what came out in 2021, see whether it was worth playing, obtaining, and what people thought of it. And we've got some quite big games here, like Imperium Classics Legends from Osprey Games. A rather interesting little game here, The Surrealist Dinner Party. That one kind of appeals to me, and the artwork is really lovely. And so on. And not all the sort of like the games get the same kind of coverage. I mean, you know, you really got to pay attention to the bigger games, but they do get space. And so, for example, Oath Chronicles of the Empire in Exile, another big game, gets a whole 2-page spread. And then we have How to Play, which is a guide to sort of like, you know, just being a good board gamer and how to get into board games. From turntable to tabletop, how to playlist, and essentially how to add music as atmosphere to your regular playthroughs of different board games. The credits page, of course, and then the last section, as ever, is Shelf of Shame, where Our Family Plays Games, which is a YouTube channel, and what it does, this article is always approaches particular people in the industry and says, or hobby, and says, you know, is there a game on your shelf which you have never played and has just sat there and you keep meaning to play it, you know, so it's your shelf of shame, you know, I have not pulled that down, I should get to it. And this gives them a chance, or forces them essentially to pull the game out, give it a playthrough, and see whether they were right to keep it on the shelf or wrong to keep it on the shelf, you know, whether they were right to pull it out and play it, and is it worth their time. So yeah, that is Senet Magazine, Board Games Are Beautiful, issue 5, published in summer of 2021. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a package containing a book or game, or in this case, a magazine, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so. All, of course, accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing of the Nook. I will be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.